Welcome to the Verdict Zone. Today, we're rediving into a case where geography is a boundary, and time is either a healer or just a very good avoidance tactic. This is the sky or the scene, the story of a flight attendant who has used her career, and the entire globe, as a buffer from a family betrayal too painful to face. Imagine this. Your partner, the person you trusted, has a child with your own sister. A decade later, they're married, raising that child, and fully integrated into the family you once called your own. For 10 years, our subject has skillfully avoided every major holiday, every significant gathering, always citing her unpredictable flight attendant schedule. The catch, it's a schedule she largely controls. She could change it, she could be there. Now, her aging parents, desperate for just one more complete family reunion before it's too late, have issued an ultimatum. It's not spoken, but it hangs in the air, heavy with guilt. Endure a profoundly painful scenario to grant their wish, or maintain the hard-won peace she's built for herself by staying away even if it breaks her mother's heart. Let's put this on the scales of competing pains. On one side, we have her pain, the raw sting of betrayal, the gut-wrenching prospect of forced proximity to her ex and her sister, and the pressure to pretend everything is okay. On the other side, her parents' pain, the ache of aging, the deep-seated desire to see their entire family together, and the feeling of being rejected by their own daughter. The scales, right now, seem heavily weighted on her side. For the next 15 minutes, we'll navigate this emotional airspace. We need to analyze her right to self-preservation. Is her decade-long avoidance a healthy boundary, a necessary act of self-care, or is it a life on the run, a constant flight from a past that's waiting for her on the ground? And what about her parents' request? We have to scrutinize this. Is their desire for a complete family a reasonable, heartfelt wish, or does it cross a line, completely invalidating their daughter's trauma by asking her to play happy families with the very people who shattered her world? Is a complete family even possible when the foundation is so fractured? Then there's the job itself. She's using her work as a shield. Is this a legitimate excuse? A practical barrier she's grateful for? Or is it simply a convenient tool to mask a deeper fear of confronting the past, of finally seeing what happens when she lands and stays? We've brought in experts to help us unpack this. I spoke with Dr. Anya Sharma, a therapist specializing in complex family trauma and infidelity. She'll help us distinguish between what constitutes healthy distance and what becomes a self-imposed exile. Is there a difference between protecting your peace and simply postponing the inevitable emotional reckoning? Dr. Sharma argues that avoidance, while effective in the short term, often calcifies the original wound. She suggests that true healing isn't about forgetting, but about reaching a place where the memory no longer has power. The question is, does that require facing the source of the pain head-on? We'll also hear from Professor Julian Croft, an ethicist who studies familial obligations. He'll help us tackle the tough questions about duty. Does a child's duty to their aging parents extend to sacrificing their own emotional safety? Where is the line between honoring your parents and honoring yourself? Professor Croft brings up a fascinating point. Societies often place immense value on parental happiness, sometimes at the direct expense of an adult child's well-being. He asks us to consider whether this request is a final loving wish, or an unintentional act of parental selfishness that ignores the depth of the original wound. Let's consider the sister and the ex-partner in this scenario. For a decade, they've lived their life, built a family, and presumably attended all these gatherings. Have they ever acknowledged the devastation they caused? Has there been any attempt at reconciliation, any apology, or has the family, in its desire for harmony, simply swept the betrayal under the rug, expecting our subject to be the one to step over it gracefully? The silence on this front speaks volumes. The burden of keeping the peace seems to fall squarely on the shoulders of the person who was wronged, a common and deeply unfair dynamic in family conflicts. Think about the sheer emotional labor required of her. She wouldn't just be attending a barbecue. She'd be performing. She'd have to smile at her sister, the one who broke the most sacred of bonds. She'd have to make small talk with the man who fathered a child with that sister. She would have to watch them interact as a family, a constant living monument to her own pain. And she'd have to do all this under the watchful, hopeful eyes of her parents, who just want to see everyone getting along. It's not just a few hours of discomfort. It's a marathon of emotional suppression. So, let's circle back to our central moral judgment. This high-altitude conflict forces a very grounding question. Does the passage of time or the aging of our parents create an obligation for a betrayed person to re-enter a space where the people who hurt them are not only present but celebrated as family? Does forgive and forget have a statute of limitations dictated by a parent's wish? Choosing your peace over family pressure is one of life's hardest flights. It requires a level of self-advocacy that many of us are never taught. If you believe in the right to protect your own emotional space, no matter the altitude, then you need to join this crew. You belong here. Subscribe and hit that notification bell for the Verdict Zone. We deliver verdicts on the difficult journeys away from pain and towards self-preservation. It's time to chart your own course. Subscribe now.